of government on citizen trust and confidence in government. Speaking as a background, we got, as per the literature, we have decline in the citizens' trust and confidence in government since the last, let's say, 20 to 30 years. As a solution, we got e-government was proposed to reverse this decline, but actually it doesn't work, or basically didn't work properly, because this subject is not well understood in the literature. That's one reason. There are many conflicting views about the subject itself. So I'm looking forward. We have a transformation of government. Basically, this has potential to reverse this decline, citizens' trust and confidence in government. So based on that, my research investigates the influence of transformation of government on citizens' trust and confidence in government, which is basically, the link between, we get the orange and the blue. So which is basically, according to my research, I have identified as research question number 2. We have as well a second part, which is research question 1, basically investigating the factors which are influencing the transformation of government and the relationship between these factors. Speaking about the research itself, and the research is done, or basically it is in the final stages. It is done in 6 phases. I'm starting from phase 1, which is typical one, literature review. So the literature review helped me in identifying the research questions, the problems, and the gap, and the objectives going forward with the research, with the literature review. This helped me as well in identifying factors that are influencing transformation of government. This is one. Identifying factors that are influencing citizens' trust and confidence in government. The relationship as well between transformation of government and citizen trust and confidence in government. Those are 3 things. We got the 4th one, speaking about the region itself. What's going on in the GCC, and specifically what's going on in Bahrain, because this research is conducted in Bahrain. So that's why we have a section or a number of sections focusing on the Bahrain and the transformation of government in Bahrain and the e-government and the digital services in Bahrain. So this led me to phase 2, which is the development of the conceptual model, which is basically building up on one of the previous model, which was proposed by Morgeson in 2011. Part of that exercise hypothesis, as well, were set for the research. Moving to phase 3, so we can see the link as well between each phase and the chapter associated with it. So moving to phase 3, which is the research and design. So basically this is quantitative, research, I've adapted for that. Part of the design, once it was completed, a pilot test was conducted for the purposes of conducting validity and reliability tests. Then quantitative, as mentioned earlier, we got online survey, which was targeting randomly citizens living in the Kingdom Bahrain, since we are focusing in Bahrain only. The questionnaire was distributed around by different means. We got the email, we have social media, which was a unique thing about this project. So I have used a lot social media, such as WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, because these things help in distributing and communicating the survey around. So based on that, I've received around 513 responses. The valid responses were 313. Then moving on to data analysis phases. So I've adapted structural equational modeling, for my research. For the purpose of validating conceptual model, hypothesis testing, CFA was used in the path analysis. And moving to the last phase, phase 6, basically, the typical ones, finding, discussions, limitation, future research, and conclusions. I'm just speaking briefly about some of the key findings from the literature review. So as mentioned earlier, we have declined citizens' trust and confidence in government since the last 20 to 30 years. Some work has been done, but mainly was from technical point of view, such as the e-government, the adoption of technologies, the quality part. But basically, these were not enough because we have a number of factors which were not considered comprehensively. So there is no common agreement in the literature, about the common factors that are influencing citizen trust and confidence in government. Some of the factors, I found are listed here. We can see around 8 factors, including e-government, technology, accountability, transparency, expectation, transformation, performance, and satisfaction. What should be done now to investigate these factors in details? This is one, identify the relationship between these factors and the influence again on both transformation of government and citizens' trust and confidence in government. Accordingly, the research gap, there is a lack of knowledge on how transformation of government influencing citizens' trust and confidence in government. If this is understood, this will help to, some extent, to reverse or to stop the decline in citizens' trust and confidence in government. Speaking about the conceptual model, as I mentioned earlier, this model is building up on previous models, which is the one developed by Morgenstern in 2011. The base theory or the dominant theory supporting his model was, exit voice theory, which is based on the marketing disciplines. So what have done, a number of factors have been added to the model. So we can see the 2 parts, basically the same model. It's the same model, but I just expanded. Basically I took out the transformation of government up and I put the factors associated with it differently, just for presentation purposes. But actually the model is the second part. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 main variables, and we have 5 factors. So we have transformation of government. The 5 variables associated with it are e-government, technology, expectation, transparency, and accountability. So based on that, transformation of government is, let's say, associated with performance of government. Then we have citizens' satisfaction, and finally, trust and confidence in government. Speaking just briefly about the variables, e-government here meant provisioning of government services through online or digital means. Technology refers to the adoption of technologies by the ministries and the government. Expectation, citizens' expectation, how it will be met by the government. Transparency, basically whatever provided by government are clear, transparent. It is very clear to outsiders. Accountability refers to the accountability of the, let's say, stakeholders, accountability of the ministries to the stakeholders. So in this case, it is citizens, basically, which are the key stakeholders we are speaking about. There's one thing about this study. This is from citizens' perspective. So basically, citizen perception on the different elements of the model. We have transformation. It can be defined simply as a change. Basically referring to change of process, change of structure, change of line authority, change of focus. Then we have the performance of government, refers to how the government is utilizing effectively and efficiently its resources, which will result in satisfying citizens. And finally, trust refers to the level of confidence citizens have in their government. This is trust, and confidence refers to the specific experience with a certain agency and the confidence that the agency will do a good job in the future, and the same with the government as well. We have a number of theories supporting the relationships between the different variables. For example, we have user or, let's say, adoption theories, such as time and diffusion of innovation. We have institutional theory. We got the public administration theory as well. We have stakeholder theory. We have some performance or micro-performance theories supporting the relationship between performance, satisfaction, and citizen trust and confidence in government. So basically, this is just some brief about the model and the different elements of the model. Speaking about the collection, analysis, and findings, so we started, as mentioned earlier, I have adopted a quantitative approach. Survey was online survey targeting randomly general or citizens I'm living in the Kingdom of Bahrain by using different means such as email and social media. So the pilot test consisted of 55 questions. Following conducting the pilot test, the validity, reliability were tested, so which resulted in refining the survey. So 5 questions were eliminated, from the main survey. Accordingly, the main survey was conducted again using the same methodology mentioned earlier. Accordingly, 513 responses were received. Unfortunately, 200 responses were uncompleted. So, as per the recommendation of the literature, those were disregarded because when I applied them in the data analysis, basically I had many problems with the data and with the analysis, and so basically I preferred discarding them from my analysis. Structural equational modeling was used for the data analysis part, mainly the CFA and the path analysis. The findings, the interesting thing, the findings supporting, all findings are supporting set hypothesis. So, just speaking briefly, we got first research question. We have 5 variables which are influencing transformation of government, which are e-government, technology expectation, accountability, transparency. So the 5 factors should work together. The final result would be the transformation of government. So again, we have significant relationship between the 5 factors and transformation of government. We have significant relationship between transformation of government with performance, again, performance with satisfaction, and satisfaction with trust and confidence in government. So this is for the set hypothesis. Speaking about the mediation effects, since we have 2 mediators, the middle, we have performance and satisfaction. Again, we have partial significant relationship between performance, on the relationship between transformation and trust. The same for satisfaction as well. We have partial mediation effect, for both. Speaking about the individual factors as well, as part of the data analysis, we have basically relationship between, let's say significant relationship between the different factors as well with trust and confidence. We have as well significant relationship between those factors and satisfaction and performance as well. So basically have tested the direct, indirect, and the total effect of the factors. Finished now. So as a conclusion, we have identified the factors, 5 factors that are influencing transformation of government. This is one, and we have identified that there is a positive relationship between transformation of government and the citizens' trust and confidence in government, which was the key gap in my research. Speaking about the contribution, this contributes to the information system literature and specifically related to the, let's say, the relationship between transformation of government and citizen trust and confidence in government. Theoretical contribution, so we have the model itself, this is one, and the previous theories are supported by model as well. Speaking about the base theory, the exit voice theory, we have the different theories supporting the relationships between the different variables. We have some policy and practical implication. For example, speaking about Bahrain itself, we have the Council of Ministers. They have to, basically there's a recommendation for them to take into account what are the key factors if they are really focusing on transformation of government. So those are based on the study conducted in Bahrain. Those are the key factors that are influencing transformation of government and citizens' trust and confidence in government. Since, we have a number of issues associated with them. We have the Supreme ICT Committee, in the Kingdom of Bahrain that could benefit from this as well. We have the e-government authority because part of it related to the e-government and the technology, and we have other stakeholders in Bahrain. For limitation and future research, limitation, basically this is conducted in Bahrain. So data is only relevant to Bahrain, but future research they could expand in the region, could be conducted in different countries, or basically that could be a comparative study, let's say amongst the GCC countries or maybe different parts of the world. Final thing, we have culture. It is not taken into account because it is a big subject, but future research as well can take culture into account. I think that's it. Thank you very much. Hopefully it was clear.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for your presentation. So now we open the door for questions. Yes, please.
So I really enjoyed this presentation because I think that this was very well structured. Maybe you put too much stuff on some slides, but I think that it flew very well. So it's. I have a question on your model and how you tested all those, how you use those surveys, and what kind of software did you use?
SPSS, Amos.
Okay, so so in order to find those relationships, and so are you thinking of somehow testing these or control or having some a way of controlling that with another methodology, or would you have you thought of any way to control your results or to make them more robust?
At this stage, I believe no. Whatever I have, I've tested based on SPSS and Amos for structural equational modeling. But we'll think future-wise if I expand on it or maybe publish papers all in future, so I could take other things into account. Is that clear, or maybe you have? Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yes, I just have one question. Thank you for a very detailed presentation. I just wanted to be clear again. The sample responses and the sample size, these were citizens.
Yeah.
Were they? And your results do you agree with the results? Because isn't it possible that the citizens wouldn't know much about e-government policy? Hence, it's sort of obvious that e-government policy will be minus 0.154. If you were to ask ministers, that might be higher. So how do you explain the results in terms of what citizens might be exposed to? They only know about what they see. So how can you account for the negative result for e-government?
Just speaking in particular about the survey itself, when it was communicated, it was communicated to different groups. As per the profiling table, that was mentioned in my report. So we have, let's speak about the gender now. So we have, equal distribution. Speaking about the age as well, we have, equal or almost equal distribution between different ages. Education level as well. Again, some of them educated, some of them somehow in the middle. But the good thing, let's say, most of the people in Bahrain, they are using social media, they're using internet. So I think it's well received by all, and whatever is there, I believe this would be my answer as well, because I was one of the respondents. So when I saw the final results, basically confirming to what I had in mind originally.
That answered the question. So I think what you have to be careful of is a false positive, and that's a false positive because you are asking citizens who have no knowledge of e-government policy making what their view of e-government policy making is. Of course, it's going to be negative at best, or zero at best and negative at worst, because they don't have any knowledge of e-government. So that's the result you will get. So I think you may need to be ready in a viva, or even if you publish your research, to explain why you may want to include or exclude that, and therefore do the other results change. Because if it's only about citizens, they will only know what they see.
Just one thing on the e-government variable itself. When it was defined, basically it was referring to provisioning of, let's say, government services through online and digital means. So what citizens experience on day-to-day basis, so without asking any direct questions related to policies or let's say procedures of government, or maybe high-level plans or policies. So this is a bit different, I believe, in my case.
Results didn't show that. So if you meant something else, then you should show what it actually means. That's more interesting, because if it was based purely upon what they were expecting, then I would expect to see several arrows that
Well-
contributed to minus 0.154. So what you said actually is more interesting than your results.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so due to time limitations, I think
think-
this session has been finished. So thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for your presentation.
Thank you.